Hey, B'kesh the mitzvah Sfirat Omer, regarding the mitzvah of counting the Omer, Nehemiah says, Usfartem lechem imachros haShabbos. It says you have to count them from the day after Shabbat. Well, the Gemara, that's what the Torah says, but that's not what the Torah means. You don't count the Omer after the day of Shabbat. You count it after the holiday, after the Passover, not Shabbat. First day of Pesach, not the first Shabbat of Pesach. But it says, why do they call it Shabbat? The Gemara Masaperet Ki Beitusim Tau. There were a group of Jews called the Beitusim, and that was, I guess, the closest you could get back then to the Reform Jews. And they said, Mimachrat Shabbat Breshit, the first day of the month. And it was the first day of the week. What did they thought? What did they say? They thought, when Pesach comes, we wait for the first Sunday in Pesach, and then we start counting the Omer. And the rabbis had to argue with them, and to prove to them that when it says here Shabbat does not mean Shabbat, it means the first day after the holiday. Says the Rebbe, it doesn't make any sense. In the Torah it says clearly that the Omer has to be brought the day after Shabbat. Mimachrat Shabbat. That's what God wrote in His holy Torah, that the Omer has to be sacrificed after the first Shabbat of Passover. Why is it that that's not what that means? If that's not what God means, then why did He write it that way? And if He didn't mean it that way, then why didn't He just write what He meant? It should have said the day after Passover, Mimachrat Pesach. But it says the Mimachrat Shabbat. Why? Why did God make it in such a way that it's possible to make a mistake and think that it means the first Shabbat in Passover? He could have just said Mimachrat Pesach. Good question. There's a lot of things like that in the Torah also that are vague. That, in fact, is the whole idea of the Torah Shabbal Peh, of the Gemara. One of the most classic ones is in the Ten Commandments. When it says don't steal, right? One of the Ten Commandments, it means don't kidnap. The commandment not to steal money, to steal other things, that's in another place in the Torah. Lo tignobu. Why is it that God did that? Why didn't He just write clearly what the Torah is? Instead of giving a Torah, He could have given us what they call a Shulchan Aruch, a law book to tell us exactly what to do. Why does it have to be hidden and concealed? Vague. Regarding when the Jews left out of Egypt, it said, God told Moshe by the burning bush that when you take the Jews out of Egypt, you're going to serve me on this mountain. The burning bush was on Mount Sinai. Kolomer, Sikum v'tachlis Yetziat Mitzrayim. The conclusion and the purpose of going out of Egypt was getting the Torah. Bein Yetziat Mitzrayim u'bein Matan Torah. There's another commandment, counting the Omer. What does it mean? That in order that you can fulfill and reach the ultimate purpose of going out of Egypt, namely getting the Torah, first of all, you have to do another thing in the middle. What is it? Counting the Omer. Okay, Herschel. Which counting the Omer is a gesher, is a connection between the beginning of going out of Egypt and between the end of going out of Egypt, Matan Torah. Counting the Omer, it's a connection. Therefore, we found that in all of the 3 months, Nisan, the time when the Jews went out of Egypt, Iyar, the time when they counted the Omer, every day is filled with the mitzvah. Every day, like we said before. Sivan, the time when the Jews got the Torah. Nachan, it's true that the first day of the month of Sivan were still counting the Omer. But Rosh Chodesh Sivan, it says, they already counted the first 3 weeks of the Omer. Chesed, Gevurah, Tiferes, because the 7 weeks of the Omer correspond to the 7 attributes of a person's soul, Kabbalistically. Not so Kabbalistic today, it's written in every Siddur. Chesed, Gevurah, Tiferet, that this is all the emotions and the last week, the last week, the 7th week, was all that remained. And even more, Chesed, Gevurah, Tiferes, the 3 main emotions of the 7th week also were counted. The main thing of the month of Sivan is not counting the Omer, but rather receiving the Torah. So the first month was going out of Egypt, Nisan. The last month is receiving the Torah. And the middle month is totally the mitzvah of counting the Omer, the month of Iyar. That's why it's the 3rd month, like it says, like the rabbis say, in the 3rd month, when God gave the triple month, 3rd month, when God gave the triple Torah. What's the triple Torah? Torah, Nevi'im, Ketuvim. The triple nation. What's a triple nation? Kohanim, Levim, and Yisraelim. Always, all of them, it mentions going out of Egypt. The 1st month of going out of Egypt, the 2nd month from going out of Egypt, the 3rd month, the Chodesh HaShlishi, B'tzeit Yisrael, Me'eretz Yisrael. The 3rd month, it was 3rd month from going out of Egypt. The month of going out of Egypt, it says it's called the Chodesh Aviv. It's called the month of the spring. Spring, Aviv means spring. In the month of Iyar, it says Chodesh Hasheni, in the 2nd year from the Jews going out of Egypt. The 2nd month is called Iyar. It's called the 2nd month. Kach li'yetzias Mizraim, also going out of Egypt, connection to the 2nd month, and also in connection to the 3rd month, it says B'chodesh HaShlishi l'tzeis b'nei Yisrael Mizraim. All the months are all related to the Jews when the Jews left Egypt. Nisan is the month they left Egypt, the 1st month. The 2nd month from when they left Egypt this year. The 3rd month from, that's what it says in the Torah. The 3rd month from when they left Egypt, that's when they received the Torah. But all of the months are counted from the month of Nisan. Rosh Chodashim, which is the time when the Jews left Egypt. But only in these 3 months. Only in these 3 months does it say the 1st month the Jews left Egypt, the 2nd month from the time of the Jews, the 3rd month the Jews left Egypt, and after that, right, there's 9 more months, 9 more months, there's 9 more months. All those months, it doesn't say the 4th month from when the Jews left, the 5th month. It's just called the 4th month, B'chodesh HaRevi, B'chodesh HaShvi'i. It's not called Chodesh HaShvi'i. So the month of Tishrei, for instance, is called the 7th month. But it's not called the 7th month from going out of Egypt. Because these 3 months, Nisan, Iyar, and Sivan, is one, what do you call it, a trilogy, one group that relates to going out of Egypt. These 3 aspects of going out of Egypt, namely going out of Egypt, actual going out, counting the Omer, and receiving the Torah, these are all 3 different levels of going out of Egypt. Now, because of the 3 holidays, let's just do this. Rabbi Dan should be in. Because of these 3 holidays, these 3 special days, namely going out of Egypt, Pesach, Shavuos, and the days of Iyar, where every day is a mitzvah, every day is counting the Omer, they all are attached to the holiday of Pesach and eating matzah and counting the Omer. Like the rabbis say, Kol machanot ba'ot minchot ba'ot minachitin. The Omer offering was unusual because all of the other offerings in the temple, they came from wheat. But this one, it says also by the sot also, but this one, minchas kanaot, right? And also the offering of the Omer comes from barley. And the only holiday that comes, the only sacrifice in the temple that was chametz, all the sacrifices had to be matzah. None of the sacrifices, all the lechem apanim and everything had to be matzah. It was forbidden. Called davash, lo takriv, was forbidden to bring leavened the bread into the Beit HaMikdash. The only two offerings you could bring were the Todah offering, Thanksgiving offering. Thanksgiving, there they brought 40 loaves of bread, 4 different types, and one of those types was chametz, and the Shavuot offering, the offering of Shavuot. That there's a beautiful mimer. I think that we learned it. Didn't we learn it before Passover in Derech Mitzvotecha? That we learned the difference between matzah and chametz. Matzah has the letter Hey, chametz has the letter Chet. Yeah, we learned it. A very short mimer in Derech Mitzvotecha. Talks about evil, how terrible evil chametz is. Chametz is egotism. Chametz is false. Chametz is lies. Chametz, worst thing in the world. So if so, why do we eat it the whole rest of the year? The Rebbe says, not only did we eat it the whole rest of the year, on the holiday of Shavuot we eat it. They brought it was brought into the temple. They brought 2 loaves of chametz into the temple on Shavuot. Because chametz is bad, risen up bread, puffed up. Egotism is bad only in the beginning of your service of God. But afterwards, egotism is a very good thing. That's what makes you happy. That's what makes you enthusiastic, is your ego. So ego can be a very good thing. So he says, this whole idea of, that's chametz. What about barley? Barley is animal food. So it says the woman, the sota, she brings a barley offering because she acted like an animal, so she brings for animal food. But also the omer is brought from barley. This omer that was sacrificed in the beginning, before we start counting the omer. Also barley, what's wrong with that? It says because it's coming to fix up your animal soul. Bilti move on, it's not understood. Why does the omer come from barley? Barley is not, it's a secondary type of food. It's only animal food. Why not make it like all the other sacrifices? Come from wheat. Also, in regarding the sacrifice that the sota has to bring. Sota is a woman whose husband suspects her of infidelity. And there are signs. She's seen regularly with some man, and he hasn't got any evidence that she's been unfaithful. But he warns her and says, don't go, I don't want to see you going into hiding with this man. And she does it. She goes into hiding. Nobody sees her do anything. There's no witnesses for what she did in this room. They went into a room. They went into the room for a few minutes. And they came out. So the husband says, you were unfaithful. She says, no, I wasn't. So he takes her to the holy temple, and she swears that she was not unfaithful. She didn't do anything. And then she has to bring an offering, and she has to drink some water, the whole process. Kashem shamaseh u'ma'aseh be'ema, just like the woman, she acted like an animal, so her sacrifice is animal food. Good, that's good, but what's the reason we do it for the counting of the Omer? Not only that, in Pesach, it's forbidden to eat chametz, because chametz indicates what we said before, egotism and Yetzer Hara. Why is chametz permissible the whole rest of the year? To the point that in the month of Shavuot, it's a commandment to bring chametz. Now we're going to understand something very deep about the month of Iyar and counting of the Omer. Specifically deals with animal food, barley, because this idea of the connection between going out of Egypt and receiving the Torah, how do you connect? How do you prepare for receiving the Torah? How do you prepare for God speaking to you? You have to clean yourself up. You have to really work on yourself, as we'll talk about more, God willing, tomorrow. Thank you. Exactly.